Okay, I'm waiting for people to join in. Okay, can you see me? Is the audio okay? Before every lecture we need to check the basics. If everything is okay, then we get started. So is the audio okay? Just message me. Good morning, Shruti. Manjunath is also there, Rajesh is also there. Okay, hello everyone. And first thing, is the audio okay? Good morning. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Two things. Everything is okay? Perfect. Okay, so welcome to this first lecture on photosynthesis, and we are on Let's Crack NEET UG English. Okay, so everybody is saying that the audio is good and you can see me very clearly. So up till now what we finished was the cell cycle, cell division part. So that was one chapter, and we had a quiz also, like the answers. And then I told you to go over the NCERT book to answer few of the questions. So I'm sure you have done that. Now we are starting another chapter, and that is photosynthesis. It is from plant physiology. And as I told you earlier, that some students, or I would say many students, find plant related parts difficult, be it photosynthesis, be it plant water relation or transport in plant, or any other morphology, for example. So that's why I decided to start with one chapter of plant physiology, and photosynthesis is one that we are going to start with. And I have shared this sheet with the students. This is the way I have planned things for you. See, we are on 15th, and this is what we are starting with, the chapter. Now you know in advance what is going to come in the next class. So for 16th we will have the light, which part of light is used, then action spectrum, absorption, photosystems, and so on. So you can plan, and if you have already done this chapter, then you can read it before joining the class. So it helps in understanding the points which were missing, and if that point is clarified during the class, well and good, and if you still have that doubt, towards the end of the class we can take that up here itself. So this is our course sheet, and we plan to finish this chapter by 23rd of October. And then we will take up something else. So I'll give you a similar kind of schedule for the other chapter. I told you earlier that I'm taking lectures on other YouTube channels also. The other one is Let's Crack NEET UG. This is a channel where the lecture is taken in Hindi and English mix. The terminology still is English, but the explanatory part, there are some Hindi sentences or words. And one more YouTube channel, and that is Biology 101. I have started human physiology, and digestion and absorption is the topic that we are discussing there. So if you want, you can join all these live classes and take advantage of all the chapters which are being covered. This is our channel, this is me. Now I guess the students who are attending my classes, they know my name, but if a new person has joined, then I'm Dr. Neela Bakore, and I'm your biology teacher. and I take botany and zoology both. Don't forget to install this app if you have not, because I have started taking special classes, and special classes are available only when you install the app. And I have started taking genetics. Today also I have a special class at 2 in the afternoon. So if you want, you can join that, but before that, don't forget to install the app so that you get the access to that. Because once you install the app, you get those live classes, you would be able to take the quizzes, and you would get the unlimited access to all the live classes which are made by various educators. And this is one thing which I have told you earlier also, that this price tag which you're seeing here is going to change very soon. So if you decide to subscribe for a particular plan, say if you want to just try it out, so you can go for a monthly plan and the amount is 5,400, but if you plan to continue it for a longer period of time, go for 12 month or 24 month. The amount which is here is already discounted, and use this code to get the 10% discount. So hurry up so that you are able to take advantage of this lower pricing. Okay, this is our topic for today, that is photosynthesis, and we are first talking about the little historical thing. Because this is one chapter in which there are certain scientists, their contributions are given and questions are asked on this. Which scientist contributed in which particular manner in this process of photosynthesis? Little bit of this, very basic, not too much in detail, but yes, questions are asked. So Van Helmont, this is scientist number 1, and as I told you earlier, I'm going to tell you again, in biology there are only 5% things which are to be remembered or mugged up. Remaining 95% things are to be understood. Same is applicable for this chapter, and that 5% which we have to remember is this, the name of the scientist and their contributions. So what was the contribution of Van Helmont? He showed that soil did not add mass to the growing plant. A very simple experiment was done. A baby plant was taken, its mass was measured, then little soil was taken which was to be added in that pot, that soil's weight was also taken, and then only water was added from outside. After a few months or years, when the plant grew and its weight was taken, it was many times more than the initial weight, because the initial plant was a baby plant, a small plant. When it grew, the weight increased many folds, but when the soil weight was compared, it reduced by very less amount, maybe some milligrams. So if the plant's weight increases, say for example 100 kgs, and if that mass was coming from the soil weight should have reduced by 100 kgs, but that was not the case. So he was the one who said that soil did not add mass to growing plant. So from where was that mass getting added? That is by photosynthesis, because the plant is able to prepare its own food, and that is why the mass increases. Two more scientists, Presley and Engenhaus, gave the basic chemical reaction of photosynthesis and also showed that the plants take carbon dioxide from atmosphere and release oxygen. What is that basic chemical reaction of photosynthesis? CO2 plus H2O gives us C6H12O6 plus O2. That is basic, very basic. Carbon dioxide plus water in presence of chlorophyll and sunlight give us carbohydrate, and oxygen is given out as a byproduct. Now this reaction is not this simple. It is a complicated reaction. We will take that up later in the class. Another scientist is Van Neal. He explained the role of light in light and dark reaction. In light reaction, light is essential. In dark reaction, light is not essential. Another scientist, Engelmann, used cladophora. Now this is one question which is competitive exam level. That Engelmann used which alga to show the absorption of light. Now there was a very simple experiment which was done by Engelmann, and the setup was something like this. There was a long glass tub taken. This tub was filled with water. And in this, the green alga, that is cladophora, was placed. So initially the green alga was everywhere. Now this long tub was exposed by various wavelengths of light, and that was Vibgyor. Violet, only violet light was thrown in that area. Indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. And the light was like focused only in that particular area. And this setup was allowed to stay for a very long period of time. What was observed was that in the area where there was, let me use some other color, there was red light, there were bubbles which were seen, and near blue light. These bubbles were of oxygen, and we know oxygen is a byproduct of the process of photosynthesis. So if in these two areas more and more oxygen is being produced, that means more and more process must be taking place here. And how can that process take place? Unless and until the light is absorbed. That means these are the areas where maximum absorption of light took place, and that is where maximum action was taking place. One more thing which was noted here was that the green alga, which was distributed all throughout, also concentrated here. This is the same green alga, cladophora. And why was the algae accumulating in a particular region? Because this algae needs oxygen for respiration. Needs oxygen for respiration. Well, oxygen is given out as a byproduct in photosynthesis, but the cells of the algae, they would need oxygen for respiration. So they accumulated closer to these two wavelengths. So what was the outcome of this, or what was the conclusion of this experiment? That the maximum absorbed wavelengths were two, blue and red. Second, during this process, maximum action took place. Action was photosynthesis. Because absorption was more, action was also more. And the green alga accumulated there because they were using oxygen. So oxygen was given out as a byproduct. So many things were proved by this experiment. Another scientist, Blackman, showed that capturing photosynthetic energy requires sunlight. The energy which is trapped in the form of units which are called photons, that actually comes from sunlight while building up the organic matter. Blackman also gave one more thing that was called the law of limiting factor. What is the law of limiting factor? The law of limiting factor says that in any process, the rate of reaction is decided by the component or the factor which is minimum. Well, you know, to understand this is a very simple example which we can take. Suppose we want to bake a cake. What are the things which are required? Egg is required, butter is required, sugar is required, and wheat flour is required. Now, suppose we want to make a cake which is proportion wise for 4 eggs. So if you take 4 eggs, 2 bowl full of sugar, 2 bowl full of wheat flour, and 2 bowl full of butter. These are the 4 ingredients that we need. Now when we reach home and we start this process, we realize that the butter which is required is only 1 bowl. So now what is going to happen? You will have to reduce the quantity of wheat flour, you will have to reduce the quantity of sugar, and you will have to take only 2 eggs. So which was that factor which decided the amount or the process? Is the one which is minimum. And when we talk about photosynthesis, the rate of photosynthesis will be decided by the factor which is going to be in the minimum concentration. We will take that up a little later. But that law was given by Blackman, which says that rate of a process or reaction is controlled by the factor which is in minimum concentration. This law was also given by Blackman. So these are few scientists and their contribution. Let us take few more, because these are the only ones which we have to talk about. Van Niel, another scientist who worked on purple and green bacteria to demonstrate photosynthesis is a light dependent reaction in which hydrogen from a suitable oxidizable compound reduces carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. It might sound a little difficult, but actually what is happening is light dependent reaction, and hydrogen is also required. Hydrogen is actually required to reduce carbon dioxide. So there has to be a substance which is going to give that hydrogen, and that substance is that oxidizable compound which is going to reduce carbon dioxide into carbohydrate. These things will be clear when we actually come to the reactions. Robert Hill showed that plants could use light energy to generate this reducing power, and the same reducing power is used to reduce carbon dioxide, and if carbon dioxide gets reduced, it is going to get reduced into carbohydrates. This we will talk of in detail later on. Theodore, another scientist, that water is essential for photosynthesis. And Engenhaus, this name appeared earlier also, that sunlight is essential for a plant process that purifies air. Now here, if you remember that inverted bell jar experiment, a plant was taken, it was covered with that jar, inverted bell jar. After some time, the plant died. A mouse was taken, kept in that inverted jar, the mouse died. A candle was taken, the burning candle, it was covered with that bell jar and the flame extinguished. Now what was done was, plant and mouse were kept together, and they survived for a longer period of time. And the reason was that plants purified the air, or in simple words, now because we have understood the process, plants release oxygen as a result of photosynthesis, which can be used by the mouse. Similarly, if you place only candle, burning candle, then it is going to use all that oxygen. So if we place a plant and the candle, again the same kind of cycle would take place. So the candle can remain with its flame burning for a longer period of time. So these are some scientists and their contribution in the field of photosynthesis. What is the process of photosynthesis is actually long and lengthy, but before the detailed process, if we know the summary, then that becomes easier. In which organisms is this photosynthesis going to take place? It takes place in many bacteria, it takes place in algae and leaves and young stem of plants. In bacteria, the photosynthesis or the photosynthetic process that takes place is called anoxygenic. There is no oxygen released. We will take that reaction, but let us talk about this because this is the one which we are aware of. Carbon dioxide and water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll give us C6H12O6 plus O2. Not balanced, but this is what is the reaction. Now, this hydrogen which is in water is going to be used to reduce carbon dioxide. This is the basic reaction that we are talking of. So you need an agent which can give hydrogen, the reducing power. So the plants will synthesize that. But in case of, and here oxygen is given out, so this photosynthesis is called oxygenic photosynthesis. What happens in bacteria? In bacteria, carbon dioxide has to be reduced and hydrogen is given by H2S. So this hydrogen is used to reduce carbon dioxide. We get C6H12O6 and sulfur. There is no oxygen given out, and that is why the photosynthetic process that takes place in bacteria is called anoxygenic. Most of the bacteria, right? We are not talking about the blue-green alga. Okay, let me, there is a message from Biswajit, ma'am, Hindi English mix kariye. You know, in the beginning I told you that there is one channel that is Let's Crack NEET UG. On that channel I am taking lectures which are Hindi English mix. This channel is exclusively for the students who prefer or who are comfortable understanding pure English. Okay, so that channel is also available. Now, chloroplasts are able to carry out this because whatever is required, the enzymes, the pigments and everything is present in chloroplast. Water, carbon dioxide are the two raw materials. So these two things are considered as the raw material. Sunlight and chlorophyll are considered as the conditions which are required. So what is the requirement? There are four things which are required: carbon dioxide, water, sunlight and the pigments, out of which two are called the raw material, that is water and carbon dioxide, and it takes place in three stages. What is this first stage? Capturing of solar energy, sunlight has to be trapped, then using the solar energy to make ATP and the reducing power, and then using these two to synthesize organic molecule. These three steps: first, capture that solar energy. Second step, use that solar energy to generate ATP and the reducing power. Third step, use that ATP and the reducing power to reduce carbon dioxide. Now, for these two, light is essential, light is required, and this can take place in absence of light also. So light is not essential. That means this process which is light dependent, can be called the light reaction, and this process which is light independent is known as dark reaction. So in junior classes when we studied photosynthesis, we always said light reaction and dark reaction. But what exactly happens in light reaction? There are two things which are happening. The light energy or the photons are to be trapped, captured. So this is step number 1 in light reaction. Then what do we do, or what do the plants do by using these photons? They help in production of ATP and the reducing power, light reaction done, because this step requires light. Or in other words, we can say the light, ATP and the reducing power cannot be synthesized in absence of light. So this is light dependent reaction, and so we call it light reaction. Now ATP is ready, reducing power is ready. Now it is to be used to reduce carbon dioxide so that we get carbohydrate. Light is not essential. This step can take place in presence of light or in absence of light also. So it is light independent reaction, and so it is called dark reaction. Okay. Now we have seen the steps. So if we have to explain this photosynthesis in a very short manner, in the form of a summary, then what do we, or how do we explain this? Suppose I draw the chlorophyll molecule, because we have heard of chlorophyll only. So suppose this is our chlorophyll. Now what happens is, when sunlight falls on this chlorophyll, sunlight, because we are first trying to capture the solar energy. So this solar energy is captured by the pigment. Now what happens when the energy exceeds a limit? Chlorophyll molecule is made up of many atoms. We will draw the structure of chlorophyll also. Many atoms. Now suppose there is more and more energy which is given to these atoms. What will happen? There is a nucleus in the atom, then you have these energy shells, and here there are electrons which are moving. So when there is excess energy, these electrons get excited and they move from lower energy level to higher energy level. So from this chlorophyll, a pair of electron gets excited. If we don't do anything, then what will happen? This pair of electron from higher energy level is going to come back to its original energy level. Initially, there were electrons, or there are electrons in all the atoms of chlorophyll molecule. When sunlight is trapped by the pigment, what is meant by sunlight trapped? The energy is trapped in the form of photons. So when chlorophyll molecule gets photons, there is more and more energy. And because of this extra energy, a pair of electrons gets excited. In normal case, what will happen is this goes to higher energy level, and then we know that everything which is at a higher energy level tends to come back to its original energy level. So from higher, when it comes back, it releases that extra energy. Can this energy be used? If yes, then we are talking about the light reaction. So what happens in light reaction is, here there is an electron acceptor which is called the primary electron acceptor. And this primary electron acceptor then passes that electron through some molecules. These are special protein molecules which are helping in transferring of the electron. So can we call these molecules as electron transport chain? Now when the electron passes through these electron acceptors, at one place the electron releases that extra energy which it was releasing here, and that energy is used to add phosphate to adenosine diphosphate, ADP. And if you add one phosphate to ADP, what is synthesized? So what has happened here? The photons or light energy has been converted into chemical energy. So for this light is essential. That is why this is a part of light reaction. Now, this chlorophyll molecule has lost a pair of electrons. And we know when from an atom electrons are lost, it changes into an ion. And the properties of an atom are different from an ion. So if in chlorophyll molecule these atoms undergo ionization, they change into ions, the original property of chlorophyll molecule will change. So what do? We have to give back those two electrons, for which water is going to split. When water splits, there are three things which are formed: a pair of electrons, a pair of protons, and half molecule of oxygen. Actually it is one atom, but the reaction is so fast that the two atoms combine and we get molecules. This is the byproduct. This electron is given back to chlorophyll, and this is used to generate the reducing power. Light reaction complete. What is happening in light reaction? Photons, light energy, is getting converted into chemical energy, and during this process we are also developing the reducing power. Now, carbon dioxide, by using this reducing power, which is going to give hydrogen, and ATP will be converted into this. Does not require light, so this is dark reaction. So this is the overall summary of what happens in photosynthesis. Light is trapped by pigments. Because of this light, electrons excite. They get excited because they are getting extra energy and they go to a higher energy level. Here they are trapped by a molecule, a protein, which is called the primary electron acceptor, and then this electron is passed through proper chain so that the energy can be used. Say for example, there is a waterfall. From higher level, the water falls to the lower level. It has energy, kinetic energy. You can let that water fall normally. What is going to happen? It just comes to that lower level, and then the energy which is getting converted from kinetic, when it comes to the lower level, kinetic energy will change into potential energy. And we know energy conversions are not 100%. Some energy will be lost. But in this process, if you put a turbine, what will happen? The kinetic energy of that flowing or falling water can be converted into mechanical energy. and this turbine rotates. So mechanical energy will now be converted into electrical energy. This is what is the process by which we generate electricity. Same thing is happening here. The electron from higher level is going to the lower level. If you don't use that energy to convert it into some other form, that energy will be lost. So to use it, plants have this electron transport chain where the energy is released in a stepwise manner so that that energy can be converted or used to generate ATP molecule. So in light dependent reaction, first step is capturing of solar energy. Second step is converting that solar energy into ATP, chemical energy, and generating a reducing power. Dark reaction use these two things to reduce carbon dioxide and obtain carbohydrate. So this is just a brief summary of photosynthesis. Now what is required and how do we get, or how do plants get these things? 4 things are required: water, carbon dioxide, pigments, and light or solar energy. Water is obtained from soil. It is obtained from soil. And how is it absorbed? Okay, I'm reading some messages. Please, के expected rank कितनी होगी? Okay. रैंक मार्क्स से रैंक नहीं बता सकते बिकॉज यू नो अभी लेट द रिजल्ट बी totally analyzed, then only we'll be able to assess the rank. Can Maharashtra board students take Unacademy subscription? Yeah, why not? Anybody can take the subscription. Ajay is asking, can Maharashtra board students take the subscription? Yes, you can. But yes, if you use my code, you will be able to avail that 10% discount. And you will get the access to various types of classes which I'm taking, like the special and the plus classes very soon. Okay? If I start now for NEET 2-1, can I clear NEET? See, what happens is, for preparation of NEET, 1 year or 2 years is required. If you're in 11th class, you need 2 years of preparation. If you're in 12th, you need 1 year of preparation. But yes, you can clear once you complete the entire syllabus. You can, 1 year is enough. You can complete the syllabus of 11th and 12th. This is the question which is from Ashima. Okay, so we were talking about the requirements. Water is required. Water is taken from soil by root hair. Carbon dioxide is taken from air by the tiny openings, that is stomata. Pigments. There are many pigments, chlorophyll, carotenoids and all, and these pigments are present in the leaves. And light is the solar energy that we are talking about. Now in the solar energy part, Ashima, let us just go over this requirement part, and then I'm going to help you in this. How can I clear NEET, or can I clear NEET? Just let us finish this part and then I'll come to this point, okay? Solar energy. Now when we talk of solar energy, there are many wavelengths. Which wavelength is essential? So there is a visible wavelength, then there is infrared, ultraviolet, there are many things. So here when we talk of solar energy, or the light which is required for photosynthesis, is the visible range. We will take this up in the next lecture. Ajay is saying, ma'am, pigments provide color. The pigment is a molecule. What exactly is a color? The color is basically, suppose you see red. Why do you see red? Because that particular pigment or that particular molecule absorbs all wavelengths except red. So chlorophyll, it appears green because it absorbs all other wavelengths except green. That is why the color. Okay, let me come to Ashima's point. If I start now, there are 7 months left, so can we clear NEET? See, you can, but you have to cover the syllabus of 11th and 12th in this short period of time. So if you if you join this or take the subscription, you get my lectures, you get physics, you will get chemistry, and then as I gave you the schedule for all the YouTube channels and the special classes and everything, so one place I'm taking human physiology, other place I'm taking plant physiology, so you will be able to cover many things in a shorter period of time. Same thing is going to happen with your physics classes and chemistry classes also. So it is beneficial if you take a subscription and then start your preparation immediately. Okay, Jayant is saying pigments and color they give. We will be talking about the pigments, but here the 4 basic things. These 2 are the raw materials, and then there are conditions, pigments and light, the visible. Let us come to the pigments now. What is a pigment? Pigment is any molecule which absorbs a particular wavelength and reflects some other wavelength. So you would see the color of the wavelength which is reflected. For example, this is, you can see it as red. It is made up of some material, and the material has some molecules. So why is it visible as red? Because when light falls on it, it absorbs all other wavelengths, but it is not absorbing red, it is reflecting. So what is coming to our eye is that particular one, and that is why we see it as red. So in case of chlorophyll also the same thing happens. But we will first take up different types, structure, and then we'll come to the wavelengths which are absorbed. So how many types of chlorophylls have you heard of? There are 7 types of chlorophyll, and they are written as chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, chlorophyll C, chlorophyll D, chlorophyll E, bacteriochlorophyll, and bacterioviridin. So now there are 7. Chlorophyll A is 1, chlorophyll B, C, D and E. So these are 5 types and these 2. So 7 types of chlorophyll molecules are there, and chlorophyll obviously is the most important molecule, and that is why we are talking about this one in detail. What is the structure of chlorophyll? Chlorophyll molecule has 2 parts. There is one head and there is a tail. In the head, in the center of the head, there is magnesium. And attached to this magnesium there are 4 rings. And the rings have nitrogen where this magnesium is attached. So let us make these rings. This is the head part that we are drawing. So in the center there is magnesium, and this magnesium is attached to these 4 rings. Okay, now this is going to make, and let me label this, each ring is called a pyrrole ring. So the head, the complete head, is known as tetrapyrrolic head because of the 4 rings, or it is also known as porphyrin head. Okay, so these things are connected also. What we need to know, basic structure, is only what is in the center and what are these chains like. Let us label these chains. This is first, not the chain, the ring first. This is important because questions are asked on these rings. So there are 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now attached to the 3rd ring there is one more ring, and this ring is a hexagonal ring. So all 4 rings, 1, 2, 3, 4, which we have numbered, they are the pentagonal rings, and attached to the 3rd one is a hexagonal ring. The 4th ring, 4th pyrrole ring, is attached to a chain, a carbon chain. So the upper part, which has magnesium in the center, 4 pyrrole rings, makes the head of chlorophyll, and this is the chain. It is called phytol tail. It normally has 20 carbons. So this is what is chlorophyll molecule. This is what we need to know about chlorophyll molecule. One more very, very, very important thing is this position. This position is written as X or R position. It is on 2nd chain and it is called X or R position. Now what is on this X or R position will decide whether it is chlorophyll A or chlorophyll B. We have to talk about only these 2 chlorophylls, A and B. So types of chlorophyll, total 7 types. Structure of chlorophyll, what we need to know is only what is the head made up of mainly and what is the tail made up of. Head has magnesium in the center, and attached to this magnesium are the 4 rings. These rings are pentagonal rings and they are numbered in a specific manner, 1, 2, 3, 4. On the 2nd ring there is a position which is called the X position. Okay? Now, is there any doubt in the structure part? Ajay asks, ma'am, in cactus, there is photosynthesis process. Yes, there is photosynthesis, but there is a slightly different way of photosynthesis. We'll talk about that a little later. Once we are trying to understand the most common type of photosynthetic process, and then we will come to that process. Okay, so this is, okay, I'm going to number it. This is carbon, it is numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4 and then so on. So in the second chain at carbon number 3, the position is X or R. Now two situations. At position X or R. Then in that case we are going to get chlorophyll A or B. If it has a methyl group, this is one possibility, or there can be aldehyde group. So if at position X there is methyl group, then in that case it is going to be chlorophyll A, and if at that position it is aldehyde group, it is going to be chlorophyll B. So we have seen the types, and what is the difference in chlorophyll C, D, E and so on? There are variations at different positions, but because our main focus is only on these two, we are talking about chlorophyll A and B, and I have given you a basic structure of the chlorophyll molecule. Chlorophyll A and B difference we have talked of. At position X there is methyl group, and in case of chlorophyll B at position X there is aldehyde group. Okay, so now we know the differences between chlorophyll A and B. Okay, I'm just checking the messages in case if there is something else. Okay, let us write one more difference. Chlorophyll A appears blue-green. This is when you extract that particular chlorophyll. When we see a plant, there are so many pigments, and the color which is visible to us is actually the combination of all. But if you isolate a pigment, and how do we isolate? You have to take that leaf, it has to be dissolved in a particular kind of organic solvent, and then only you will be able to extract that specific pigment. So scientists have separated chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B and all others, and that is how we specifically know the color of that particular one. So if we are talking about chlorophyll A, it appears blue-green, and if you talk about chlorophyll B, it appears yellowish green or greenish yellow. Or greenish yellow, it has a yellowish tinge to it. So these are the differences structure wise also and color wise also. But there is one more difference, and that is they absorb different wavelengths. So this is about chlorophyll. Now let us take two more pigments which are present in the plants, and then we will see how all these pigments are helping. The second category are called carotenoid pigments. It's a group. They are lipids, fatty, and they are classified into two groups. Carotene, which is found in carrots, the orange-red pigment. If you have seen carrot, the exact color pigment is the carotenes. Then there are xanthophylls, which are yellow in color. yellowish yellow-brown in color. So these two together make a group, and the group is known as carotenoids. Now let us check the formula. Carotenes, the formula is C40H56, and xanthophyll, the formula is C40H56 and O2. So there is only difference of O2. Fucoxanthin, if you have completed your class 11th, then I'm sure you've heard of fucoxanthin. When we talk of brown alga, red algae, green algae, brown algae, in brown algae there is a pigment called fucoxanthin. So fucoxanthin is that yellowish brown pigment which is actually in this group of xanthophylls. So carotenoids is a group, carotenes are pigments. So there is a group name, there is a pigment name. Similarly, xanthophylls is a group name, and fucoxanthin is actually one pigment or one of the xanthophylls. Then let us come to phycobilins. Again, this is a group. It is found in blue-green algae. Blue-green algae means cyanobacteria. It is found in red algae. So again, this you must have studied if you have completed your 11th class. If you have just joined your 11th class, then this part probably you have not done. This is in the plant kingdom. So when we talk of various types of algae, that's where we study green algae, red algae, brown algae. So in red algae or blue-green algae, there are pigments which are grouped together, and that group is known as phycobilin. In this group, there are two main categories: phycocyanin and phycoerythrin. Phycocyanin is a purple colored or bluish purple pigment, and phycoerythrin is a red pigment. So normally when we talk of the process of photosynthesis, our main focus is chlorophyll, because that is the main pigment. But why do the plants have so many other pigments if only chlorophyll is important? Actually, chlorophyll is the pigment from where the reaction actually starts. But other pigments act as accessory pigments, helping pigments. How do they help? That will be clear once we draw the photosystem. Now, in this much part, if there is no doubt, then I'm going to give you a short explanation of the photosystem. Chromatography, Jayant is asking, it is a process by which the pigments are separated. Ma'am, do you complete whole syllabus till NEET 2021 on plus? See, I'm going to start my plus classes very soon, and as soon as the students subscribe for those plus classes, the sessions are going to start. So you can subscribe, don't forget to use the code, and as soon as I have a group of students ready for that class, the classes are going to start. Okay, I'm asking you about any doubt in whatever we have done so far. We talked about some historical thing, the scientists and their contribution. Then we talked about the summary of what exactly happens in photosynthesis, what is the requirement of photosynthesis, and then we came to the pigment part. Chlorophyll is the main pigment. Chlorophyll A is known as the reaction center chlorophyll. That means the photosynthetic reaction starts from chlorophyll A, and that is why our main focus is chlorophyll. What are the other pigments doing? The other pigments are helping pigment. All other pigments are accessory pigments. So chlorophyll is most important, and that is why whenever we talk of photosynthesis, the conditions which are required, we always write chlorophyll. But we have to remember that other pigments are also essential. Aradhya says no doubt. So I guess there is no doubt in that, in this much part. Now when we meet in the next class, what we are going to do is, we will continue from this point. We have done pigments. Now in the next part, we'll talk about the light. Which wavelength is required, action spectrum, absorption spectrum. Slowly and gradually we'll understand all the things which are required, and then we come to the actual process of photosynthesis, that is light reaction and dark reaction. Now in today's lecture, many students asked for the classes, special classes and plus classes and all those things. See, I am taking classes on various YouTube channels which are free, but on Plus, the classes are designed in a particular manner so that we are able to complete the syllabus for NEET, targeting 2021 or 2022. And those classes start once we have a group of students who have subscribed to that particular class or for that particular teacher. And that's why I'm saying, if you have decided, you can subscribe, and don't forget to use this code so that you get that extra benefit of 10%. Okay, so decide fast, and hopefully we'll start very soon on Plus. Till then, you can attend these classes. I'll see you in the next class tomorrow, same time, with the photosynthetic chapter, photosynthesis chapter, and we'll continue beyond the pigment part. Okay, take care. Bye bye.